The Art of Enduring Joy, a multidisciplinary guide to finding light in darkness. Foundational understanding, the nature of suffering. Scientific perspectives. Neuroplasticity, the brain rewires itself based on thought patterns. Regular positive practices physically reshape neural pathways. Davidson and Lutz, 2008. Post-traumatic growth. Research shows 30 to 70% of trauma survivors report positive psychological changes, including renewed appreciation for life and increased personal strength. Tedeschi and Calhoun, 2004. The happiness set point. While genetics determine 50% of our happiness baseline, 40% is determined by intentional activities. Lyubomirsky, 2007. Spiritual frameworks of suffering. Buddhism. The first noble truth acknowledges suffering, dukkha, as inherent to existence. The path through involves mindfulness, impermanence awareness, anicca, and compassion. Christianity. Suffering is framed within redemptive possibility. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance. Romans 5 verses 3-5. The cross represents divine solidarity with human pain. Islam. Tests and trials, ibtila, are considered purification. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Quran 94:5-6. Patience, sabr, is both virtue and practical discipline. Judaism. Tikkun olam, repairing the world, suggests our response to suffering has cosmic significance. The Psalms model lament as sacred dialogue. Stoicism. Pain is inevitable. Suffering is optional, determined by our judgment about events rather than events themselves. Epictetus. Practical framework. The 5 pillars of resilience. 1. Cognitive reconstruction. Science. Cognitive behavioral therapy shows that examining evidence for negative thoughts reduces their emotional impact. Practice. Maintain a thought record, distinguishing fact from interpretations. Ask, what evidence supports this thought? What alternative explanations exist? Wisdom tradition. Buddhist right view encourages seeing reality clearly without distortion. Stoic dichotomy of control separates what we control from what we don't. 2. Embodied presence. Neuroscience. The body calms the mind. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system in 90 seconds. Techniques. Box breathing, 4-4-4-4 pattern. Progressive muscle relaxation. Grounding through sensory awareness, 5-4-3-2-1 technique. Spiritual integration. Islamic salah, prayer, as embodied mindfulness. Christian contemplative prayer. Buddhist bodyscan meditation, vipassana. 3. Purposeful connection. Data. Harvard study of adult development, 85+ years, shows relationships are the strongest predictor of life satisfaction and longevity. Practical application. Schedule micro-connections, 15-minute meaningful interactions. Practice attenuated altruism, small acts of service that don't overwhelm. Sacred wisdom. Ubuntu philosophy. I am because we are. Christian, bearing one another's burdens. Galatians 6 verse 2. Buddhist karuna, compassion in action. 4. Meaning-making. Scientific fact. Viktor Frankl's logotherapy demonstrates that finding meaning enables survival in extreme suffering. Exercises. Benefit finding. Identify what hardship has taught you. Legacy reflection. How might this pain serve others someday? Interfaith insight. Jewish tradition of finding blessing in difficulty. Bracha. Islamic view of trials as purification. Christian narrative of resurrection following crucifixion. 5. Rhythmic renewal. Biological reality. Circadian rhythms affect emotional regulation. Sleep deprivation increases negative emotional recall by 60%. Ritual creation. Daily, gratitude practice, 3 things morning/evening. Weekly, digital Sabbath or nature immersion. Seasonal, reflection on life chapters and transitions. Traditional wisdom, Sabbath practice across Abrahamic faiths, Buddhist Uposatha days, indigenous seasonal ceremonies honoring cycles of death and rebirth. When pain is acute, emergency protocols. Spiritual first aid kit. 1. Breath prayer, Christian contemplative tradition, a short phrase synchronized with breath. You are with me. Inhale, I am not alone. Exhale. 2. Dhikr/ladder prayer, Islamic practice repetition of sacred phrases as psychological anchor. 3. Metta meditation, Buddhist directing loving kindness toward oneself. May I be held in compassion. 4. Psalmist honesty, Judaism/Christianity, voicing raw emotion within container of faith. See Psalms of Lament, 13, 22, 88. Scientific interventions for acute distress. Temperature change. Cold water on face triggers mammalian dive reflex, reducing emotional intensity. Bilateral stimulation. Alternating sensory input, butterfly hug, walking, can disrupt traumatic looping. Forward momentum. Literal forward movement signals safety to the amygdala. Integrative wisdom. Paradoxical truths. The transformative paradoxes. 1. Acceptance precedes transformation. Resistance to pain creates secondary suffering. Buddhist mindfulness and serenity prayer wisdom converge here. 2. Vulnerability builds strength. Research shows emotional suppression correlates with higher depression, while emotional acceptance correlates with greater resilience. 3. Community heals individuality. Isolation magnifies pain. Shared suffering creates bonds demonstrated by trauma support group efficacy. 4. Transience contains permanence. While pain feels eternal, awareness of impermanence, anicca, provides hope. This too shall pass. Sufi, Persian, and Jewish wisdom. 5. Small actions create large changes. Neurochemical success spirals. Micro wins in difficult times build agency and dopamine. Cultural and ancestral wisdom. Japanese kintsugi, broken pottery repaired with gold. Beauty in brokenness. West African concept of sankofa, moving forward while reaching back for wisdom. Native American medicine wheel, balance between physical, emotional, mental, spiritual. Hindu concept of darsana, seeing and being seen by the divine in all circumstances. Evidence-based daily practices. 1. Gratitude journaling. 21% reduction in depression symptoms after 6 weeks. Emmons and McCullough, 2003. 2. Nature exposure. 15 minutes in green space reduces cortisol by 16%. 3. Awe experiences. Regular, all walks decrease inflammatory cytokines. 4. Micro acts of kindness. Increases serotonin for giver and receiver. 5. Sleep hygiene. Each hour of sleep before midnight is twice as restorative. When professional help is wisdom. Depression lasting 2 weeks with functional impairment. Trauma symptoms disrupting daily life. Substance use to manage pain. Suicidal thoughts. Seeking help demonstrates strength. Aligning with Islamic, seek knowledge even unto China. Buddhist wisdom of right livelihood, including healers. And medical science, showing therapy's effectiveness equals or exceeds medication for many conditions. The ultimate integration. Happiness during suffering isn't about denying pain, but expanding consciousness to hold both pain and peace simultaneously. What philosopher Kierkegaard called the joy that does not deny sorrow, but finds within it the seeds of new life. This is the wisdom echoed in Rumi's wound where the light enters, Paul's strength made perfect in weakness, and the Buddhist lotus growing from muddy water. The most profound positivity emerges not despite suffering, but in honest engagement with it, transforming what hurts most into what heals most deeply, creating a resilience that doesn't just return a baseline, but reaches new depths of compassion, wisdom, and capacity for joy.